Okay, what's up, everybody? Fantasy Savvy on the Faceoff Sports Network. I got our boy Josh Hallman. We're also bringing in Josh Biscay, another college basketball, also all college sports pretty much, and NFL betting expert. So we got an we got a good little show tonight for you guys. We got a 3-man crew,
A
so we
great
should get
show.
a
Great
lot
show,
of different.
welcome.
A great show, rather. Yeah, a lot of differing opinions. We'll see who everybody likes. But guys, we had a slow start to the opening round. Everybody's talking about the NIL, and that's why we had the slow start. But I think it might be a little overrated. But nonetheless, wasn't a ton of good games. We had the Alabama State game in the first four that kicked it off. Then we finally get one more buzzer beater in the second round. Which was key. So, some better games in the second round, a little bit more tight, but we do have a great Sweet 16, Elite 8 that we're going to break down. So we'll go over the Thursday and Friday night games, game by game. We'll make our picks on the totals and the sides, and then we'll talk about the Elite 8 as well. So, yeah, we got Josh here, and we got Josh and Josh, actually. We got Hallman. You can follow him at Hoops Visions on Twitter. And then Josh Viscay. What's your Twitter handle, Josh?
It is my real name, my Hispanic name, JOSUEVIZCAY. And then we have the ESBC Sports Betting Podcast. Now we have the Substack where we give you secret information. If you sign up, you don't have to sign up. 90% of everything is free. We got people that know what they're talking about, like Fantasy Savvy and Mr. Hallman there, man, from North Carolina, the Tar Heels.
That's right.
That's right. Let me bring up the bracket real quick, and then we will get into some of these games. But you see here, Auburn, they cruise. They beat Bama State. They beat Creighton. So they're going to set up against Michigan. Michigan, tough game against UC San Diego. Then they take care of business against Texas A&M. Texas A&M had the lead, and then Michigan kind of went on a roll late to get there. Ole Miss gets through Carolina. Josh's Tar Heels fall flat. And then they beat Iowa State. Michigan State takes care of Bryant, just too skilled for Bryant. And then they take care of New Mexico. New Mexico went up early in that game. Then Michigan State, I believe, got the lead right before the half, and they kind of never looked back. It's a little bit tight early in the second, but they kind of maintained that lead. Florida takes care of Norfolk State. Great game against UConn. Very, very tough D by UConn. Florida almost falls, but Clayton Jr. finally steps up at the end. They're going to take on Maryland. Maryland takes care of Grand Canyon. And Colorado State on the Derek Queen buzzer beater. He wanted the motherfucking ball, he said. And he got the fucking ball. And he took care of business.
He got the ball and blocked it.
So the Crab Five keep it going. Colorado State, props to them. Medved, nice coach, well-coached team. I'm rooting for them next year out of the Mountain West. Hopefully they can keep some of their guys.
Not
keep it
Nikkei
going.
Clifford. He's gone.
Yeah, he's definitely gone. Texas Tech, they beat UNC Wilmington and take care of Drake. JT Toppin just dominating against Drake. St. John's, Arkansas takes care of Kansas and then takes care of St. John's, which was kind of a shock to everybody. But if you really look at it, I mean, Arkansas they had the athletes to play with St. John's, and St. John's' flaw was, their shooting. And RJ Lewis comes out. He had a bad game shooting. He comes out at the end of the game. It's kind of controversial, but just a bad game for St. John's. Arkansas is getting hot at the right time, typical of Calipari teams. Duke takes care of Mount St. Mary's.
Breaking news, not to interrupt you, but I got some breaking news at Colorado State. Their head coach was just hired by the Minnesota Gophers.
Wow. I was just saying he's a good coach, and I wish he stayed there, so that's going to hurt Colorado State. Also, Pitino going to Xavier today, and he's going to bring along Donovan Dent most likely as well. So Pitino Jr., rather. That's interesting. Wow. Minnesota. So maybe Minnesota could finally – I don't remember the last time Minnesota was good in the Big Ten. It's been a while, right?
I don't
Yeah,
either.
no, it's been yeah.
Who was that guard that Minnesota had that was real nasty, like maybe 6-7 years ago? Do you remember Josh Hallman?
I'm trying to think who it might have been.
Number 24, I think it was. I can't remember his name.
24. You have to look that up.
Yeah. But anyway, Duke destroys Baylor. Baylor is a collection of athletes. They just can't, they just can't get it go. Duke just annihilated them. Oregon loses to Zona. Zona beats Akron and then takes care of Oregon. Tough game, but Zona outlasts them, so it's going to be Duke, Arizona. BYU takes care of VCU. That was kind of a tricky game. A lot of people, liked VCU in that game, but that game was in Seattle, advantage BYU. And then they take care of Wisconsin. They kind of led that game the entire way until the end. Wisconsin almost had a chance to tie it up or win the game, but BYU advances. Bama takes care of Robert Morris, although Robert Morris gave them a hell of a fight in the first half. And then Bama kind of pulled away. Actually, even in the second half, it was kind of
close. It was close all the way.
Yeah. Robert Morris played a hell of a game. And then Bama,
their athletes are good against.
No, they did. That one dude, I forget his name. I don't know if you remember.
There's Dickerson and Fulgaris or something. That
guy was blocking shots. He was making shots. He was going off. And then Bama takes care of St. Mary's. I feel like this was the bet of the tournament. I mean,
that and Ole Miss against Iowa State. Those were the easiest ones for me.
Yeah, Ole Miss was a good one, but yeah, Bama. St. Mary's was in it for like the beginning of the first half, and then Bama kind of just cruised. Houston takes care of Edwardsville, and then they take care of Gonzaga. That game was kind of Gonzaga. Houston was kind of winning, and Gonzaga almost made a little bit of a push towards the end. Purdue takes care of High Point. Then they beat McNeese. McNeese with a pitiful performance. They just look like they were asleep. That 12 o'clock start, I don't think was good for them.
No, and that's the thing.
That was coaching.
In college bowl season, I am, by the grace of God, blessed. I am 100% when I hear that the coach is leaving. You hear the coach is leaving, you bet that right away. It's 100%. And Will Wade, again, who's caught with Sean Miller and the FBI, the Ben Simmons thing, he's just a shady guy. So what do shady people do? They quit right when he got the money from North Carolina State, those North Carolina State people, which was crazy. I was in the Final Four with North Carolina State people, and they were like the Clemson people the week before, man. Your neck of the woods, Josh Holman. They hated their coach.
Now they always do.
The big alumni people. They're like, oh, yeah, you're here. You want to know that we hate our coach. Like, damn, you guys are in the Sweet 16. Have a good time. Damn, you're at the Final Four. But they hate it.
It's never good enough for them.
Yeah, the NIL is just crazy. And then, of course, Will Wade takes full advantage of it. But, I mean, he covered against High Point, took care of business against High Point. So he got one game at least.
They got picked apart by Matt Painter, man. Matt Painter's great. All they had to do was pump fake passes, and they were just getting wide open layups the whole game. McNeese was just over aggressive, and they just used it against him and just destroyed him. It was impressive.
Yeah, and I kind of liked Braden Smith going in. Towards the end, I didn't really like Purdue, but these are two games that were very, very winnable. So they had a pretty good path once Clemson went out. Illinois takes care of Xavier. They lose to Kentucky. Kentucky beats Troy. They pretty much, they took care of Illinois pretty much. Tennessee, they take care of Wofford and UCLA. So it's going to be Kentucky, Tennessee. And there you have it, the Sweet 16. So let's start with the first game, which is going to be BYU Bama in Newark at the Prudential Center. A lot of good Portuguese restaurants. Big Brazilian population over there as well.
Maybe Jordan will be there.
I mean, I wish if I was in Jersey, I would definitely be trying to go to these games. There's also another really good place, like 5 minutes from the Prudential Center, called the Belmont Tavern. Excellent Italian restaurant. If you're headed to the game, definitely look up the Belmont Tavern. But BYU Bama, this is going to be a very, very interesting game. Curious to hear you guys' thoughts. Bama is favored by 5.5. You can get 4.5 on FanDuel, and the over-under is 175.5. BYU, again, they take care of ECU. They take care of Wisconsin. Bama takes care of Robert Morris and St. Mary's. So I'll go with Hallman first. You kind of like BYU most of the year. You kind of reneged a little bit after they got demolished by Houston, but BYU is stepping up here. Saunders is playing well. Denman, he's a good player. I mean, they just have a ton of shooters. They got some size. So what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, Houston makes everybody look pretty bad, and they definitely made me question BYU a little bit with how bad they beat them up. But I mean, against everybody but Houston, BYU's looked pretty good. They can score. So can Alabama. There's probably a ton of points in this game. I really think it could go either way, to be honest. I think Alabama has a slight edge in talent, but I don't know, man. Yeah, like you said, Saunders playing great. Keita in there. Him and Amori are going to have a battle inside. It's going to be fun to watch. I'd go with BYU, I guess, with the points, since I think it's going to be real close and go either way. But I don't know. What do you think, Josh?
BYU +6. I like Mark Pope. He coached in the NBA. I love the style they have, and they don't really run much stuff, but they keep their players fresh. And I was at the Sweet 16 in LA, and then went to the Final Four. This Alabama guy looked at me. You guys are you're stalking Alabama. They saw him at both venues. And the thing about Alabama is that, man, they're soft. They're not like when I was a kid. You see, a kid when you were playing basketball is, listen, man, you better come correct or do not come at all. And these guys are soft at Alabama. And I think it's coaching. I like, he's got an NBA style. He doesn't want to piss people off, so they don't leave in NIL. So I think BYU, what I've seen of them, the aggression, the toughness they got by playing, Calvin Sampson and those tough kind of football teams, Houston teams, I like them to cover the 6 points, not necessarily to win, because this dude always has something in his back pocket. And I sat next to the bench, and they got everything compartmentalized. English is my second language, so I digress. They have a set plan for each part of the game. One thing I do not like about Alabama is when they had it at the Sweet 16 and the Final Four, they have a set of like 30 coaches to give them an unfair advantage on the other side of the sideline. And they go up and they'll go crazy. And then when the other team's trying to run a play, they're like going crazy, messing up their plays. I think the NCAA has to do something about that. But I heard about the infusion of money that the SEC got, and suddenly they have 7 out of 16 teams in the situation. So I do not think they're going to say anything about that. But I agree with Josh, man. He's on it. And I like what
that Igor, the freshman Igor Dimon, too. He's starting to play like the NBA lottery pick they've been talking about all year. And he hadn't played all that well at times this year, but he's turned it on lately. I mean, it's going to be a battle.
Well, it's that in and out game, and then BYU has those guys that are 6'7", 6'8". They have a direct view of the basket. To me, that was very important at 5'6". When I had to pump fake, I had to wait to get open, shoot them between the zone. These guys are 6'7", 6'8". Good view of the basket, and they got both guards for BYU are good at penetrating. That'll be good for a while against Alabama.
Yeah, BYU, they got blown out by Houston twice. Cincinnati kind of took care of them too. So defensive, really, really athletic teams kind of, are their kryptonite. But, in an offensive game, back and forth in game, this is certainly a game where they could just shoot the lights out and outshoot Bama for sure. But Bama, I mean,
Sears, I wasn't too impressed with Sears. Any guy that I think that I can really get in shape. And even though the highlight of my life, I'll put it on Twitter, everybody can see it. I was on One Shining Moment twice. So I'm the guy in the back with the USA shirt, and Sears is like this. But when I saw him in person, he was D'd up, right? Actually, Grant Nelson. When you get court level, Grant Nelson is a far superior athlete than anybody on Alabama. I know he's hurt now. It might not be the same. But when I watched him last year, just looking athlete for athlete, Grant Nelson was phenomenal. He's got he's got the leapers. There's different types of jumps. There's people who can jump fast, people that jump slow. And he's the fastest white guy I've ever seen as far as
Nelson should be fully healthy at this point. But yeah, Sears didn't have a great game against St. Mary's. He should play better, but they got Holloway, they got Phylon, they got Youngblood, Amori, Diabate, who can shoot the three, Stevenson, Reed. So they got so many freaking different guys they can utilize, but so does BYU. BYU has kind of the same thing. So I'm kind of with you guys. I think I lean taking the points with BYU. I feel like this could be like, BYU could definitely get into a lead. This could be like a last second, come down to the last second this game. But I think, it's going to be trendy as hell. But how do you not take the over in this game? I mean, how do you take the under 175? I mean, maybe the Mormons.
This is why though.
Maybe the Mormons.
Maybe when I was watching them, right? Coach is going crazy. Let's call timeout. Let's slow it down at the end. So I think the last 5 minutes with $13 million on the line, right? So every time you win an NCAA game, it's $13 million. So you got all this money on the line. You're going to even have the AD calling timeout. Hey, timeout. Let's slow this down. Let's run a good set. And I think the last 5 minutes are going to slow it down and go to the under 176.
All right, so you like the under, Josh. All right, interesting. I don't know. I can't take the freaking under. Maybe, like I was going to say, maybe the Mormons in Newark don't mix because it's kind of a weird mix. They got to go all the way from
a lot of points. They both have to score like 90 to cover it, right?
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, look at Bama. They just put up the most points on St. Mary's. They put up 80. I don't think St. Mary's has allowed 80 ever in like the last 2 seasons or some shit like that. So I mean, and Robert Morris put up 81 on them. So, what's BYU going to put up on Bama? I could see BYU putting up 90, and I could see Bama putting up 90. So, I feel like I love the over. I think that's the play of the game. I know it's going to be maybe the high number will kind of throw people off, but I think it's going to be just a shooting affair. Tons of threes getting dropped in left and right. People going to the basket. And I'll lean BYU, although I could see Bama kind of outlasting them because I think they have better athletes overall, obviously. But yeah, I'll lean BYU with you guys.
Yeah,
Alabama's going to get the call at the end too. It's the cash infusion to the SEC.
Yeah, but you're right, Josh. This guy, you're right. Sears does have to play better in this game. He certainly has to, make some big shots. All right, next game, 7:39 on Thursday. Again. This is the benefit of not a lot of upsets. We get some great matchups here in San Francisco. So Maryland already has been playing on the West Coast, their first 2 games. So they get to chill kind of on the West Coast. And they're kind of, situated over there. And Florida, playing in Raleigh now has to go to the West Coast in San Francisco. Florida is giving 6.5, and the total is 156.5. You can get 157.5, 156.5 on FanDuel. Florida again took care of Norfolk. Very, very close game with Connecticut. Connecticut almost pulled the upset. Connecticut played really good defense. They were frustrating Florida's bigs. They slowed them down. Florida was not able to run. Clayton kind of had a little bit of a funky first half. He was, kind of at it, but in the second half, he played much better. And then, Maryland destroys Grand Canyon, absolutely obliterates them. And then Colorado State, Derek Queen wanted the ball. He gets it done. So 6.5, 157.5. I'll start with you, Viscay, this time. What do you like in this game?
I hate to do it because I graduated from the University of South Florida. It's great to be a Florida Gator, but I do have great friends from the University of Florida. But Maryland got lucky. The guy walked. Florida's going to blow them out. One question I have for Josh Long, the Raleigh Airport. Is it easy?
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy. I've never had any issues there. Seems like a pretty easy airport. I haven't flown out of there in a while, but it's always been fairly
conference
easy.
realignment that I can't talk about. Into the negotiation. for current conference realignment, they were talking about how easy it is to get in and out of airports. So good to know about Raleigh. I don't think it's going to affect Florida. We're going to Raleigh. San Francisco's a hub. I might go to that game, but the tickets have been too outrageous. It's a matter of I'm not paying $1,000.
Yeah.
For a crappy seat.
How far of a trip is that for you? How far of a trip is that for you, San Francisco?
My buddy wants to drive. I'm old for that, man. It's like 6-hour drive. But I'm thinking of maybe taking the train because I could do some work on the train, or if I take a flight, it'll be like an hour, and I'm there. I can eat.
What are you in the LA? You're in the LA area, right?
Yeah, between LA and San Diego, right in the middle.
Is that like Temecula area?
No, that's kind of up north. I'm on the 5. You go on the 5 right in the middle, Orange County, Foothill Ranch, California.
All right, so what do you like in this game, Josh? You like the over? You like Maryland?
Yeah, they're gonna blow them out. They have a great coach, man. That I remember his dad coaching, the guy from Maryland, and he's doing more with less. You got to think of these great coaches who get these teams to certain areas, but they do not belong at all. Again, the SEC got a big cash infusion. Florida, I know King Gator lives over here in La Jolla. He loves to meet up with the refs at the hotel room. I'll tell you what, I went to one NCAA game, and I see the one ref come in with full ref gear with a red big bag. And I'm like, he's already in full gear. What does he have in the bag? He goes in with a red bag, comes out an hour later with a white bag. And then I notice his calls in the game. All right. So I don't know. I digress. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. But Florida's going to get the calls here. Florida has the better athletes. They're deeper, too. Who knows what's going on with the portal with the Maryland bench guys? Because they do have a hard-ass coach. He drives people away. But he's a great coach. He knows how to do more with less. But give me the Gators and their degenerate, perverted coach -7.
Wow. Yeah, man. I agree with
my fantasy savvy. That investigation was, listen, you can commit any crime you want in the state of Florida as long as you're in line to win a national title. Just ask James.
Well, it's interesting that he coached at San Francisco and now he goes back to his, kind of his roots, I guess.
All these coaches in San Francisco, they're always great at the backdoor play. Yeah, old joke.
Oh my God.
All right. So, what about the total? Any thoughts on that?
You're not gonna get busted, right? The massage parlors and stuff. But I digress. We're going in San Francisco.
Josh, any thoughts on the total? 157.5.
157.5. I gotta think it's gonna go over late again. I think when you're looking at totals and size, you gotta think what is the coach's in-game strategy, right? I go back to my day job, wealth management, fundamental analysis. You look at corporate governance, right? That's why I look at the coaches versus the players because they control the coaches. They recruit the same type of guy. Have the core guys that are supposed to do certain things. In Florida, is going to empty the bench because they're thinking long term. Maryland, I know their coach is going to empty the bench. And at that point, that game's going to loosen up a lot, and I think it'll go over the 157.
Okay. Hallman, what's your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think Florida got their scare last week. They're going to come out a little sharper. Like you said, Maryland's kind of lucky to be here. Their defense hasn't been real impressive all year. I just kind of expect Florida to be at their best in this game and just, kind of jump on them early and have a much more comfortable time than UConn.
Yeah, their defense wasn't great early on against Colorado State. They let up 81 against Michigan. Yeah, I feel like I agree with that. Florida should, they did get their scare. And sometimes when teams get their scare early in the tournament, that kind of catapults them, into the finals. Sometimes that's a good thing. They did look a little nervous out there, though. I mean, Condon at the free throw line was like, he looked like he just, he was just really, really nervous. So there was some nerves there. Does that continue? Going to the West Coast now against Maryland's got Derek Queen. They got, Reese. They got some good size. They got some good guards. But I think Florida's going to be too much. I would lean taking Florida as well. And the over, I feel like, there's going to be a lot of points. Again, you let up 81 to Michigan. You let up 71 to Colorado State. I mean, Florida should be looking at least, I would say, 85 points. And then, maybe Maryland can get 75, maybe 80. So, I like the over. And I'm gonna go with Florida as well. But I think Maryland, I don't know. This could be – I think they could fight a little bit, but I'm with you guys. I like
Willard.
I liked Willard when he was at Seton Hall. He liked him when he was at Seton Hall, but he never. I think this is the furthest he's ever been in the tournament. He usually gets knocked out in the first or second round.
They're doing more with less. That Seton Hall program, you know about that because of being in New Jersey. You would think the Seton Hall program would be better with so many. I know for football, New Jersey's a top 5 state for football, so they have to be at least a top 10 state for basketball. You would think Seton Hall would have a great team year in and year out, but there's a lot of competition out there, right? More basketball.
Most of the good players leave, and they don't really get a lot of them. And the New Jersey colleges really aren't that good. Like Seton Hall's never been good. I mean, since the early '90s. They had a little run recently, but Rutgers is never good. Rutgers is always terrible. It's just like, so we had St. Peter's made that little run a couple years ago, but most of the good New Jersey athletes, they leave, they go to other states because they want to get the hell out of New Jersey. I mean, I don't blame them.
USF's always recruited good in New Jersey because come on in.
That's an easy draw. All right.
Family town, yeah.
By the way, we did have a comment earlier. I showed it. Rye Guy McFly says BYU gonna beat Bama. Book it.
Plus 155. Him and I agree. I bet plus 155 BYU.
All right, Josh. Josh, we got your audio here. Are you? Can you hear us? All right, he's working on something. So we'll talk about the next game. Arizona, Duke, also in Newark after the BYU Bama game. Again, this is 2 great games here in the Prudential Center, where only the Devils play because the Nets left there to go to Brooklyn, which is
Martin Brodeur.
Kind of sucks.
It kind of sucks. Martin Brodeur.
Huh?
Martin Brodeur might be before time.
Yeah, no, I remember Martin Brodeur. Yeah, the goalie for the Devils. Yeah, he was big time. Yeah, during the 90s.
Yeah, I saw him against the Lightning one time, and man, he was just standing on his head. I was like, how could you ever score against this guy? But I digress.
It was him and Richter were the goalies. They were both had their run for sure.
Big time.
All right. Arizona Duke. Duke is favored by 9.5. Total is 153.5. Duke, Cooper Flagg is pretty much past his injury. They went out, they dominated Baylor. Again, Baylor, Jeremy Roach, it wasn't a revenge game. They had, Amir from Miami, Jaden Nunn from VCU, Edgecombe, who's going to be a pro, but they just could never really put it together and be a cohesive team. So Duke, they got the size, they got the guards, they got the best player in the country. They come out, they dominate 89-66. Then Arizona, Caleb Love, big game against Oregon. And that's what they're going to need against Duke. He goes for 29. He's 5 of 7 from 3. And these two teams played earlier in the year in November in Arizona, 69-55. So that, both teams shot terrible. Duke was 9 for 25 from 3. Arizona was 6 of 23 from 3. I noticed Visar and Awaka didn't really play a lot of minutes in this game, so it was kind of early in the season. These guys weren't getting much burn. They're much bigger parts of the team now. Maybe Arizona, I feel like Arizona could give them a little bit of a game. I actually kind of like Arizona with the points here. I think 9.5 might be a little too much. But what's your guys' thoughts here? I'll go with Hallman since you're back. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm back. Duke, man. I think they're playing better than anybody right now. Honestly, that the defense is just so good. Cooper Flagg's absolutely everywhere. I mean, Arizona's played pretty well. Caleb Love is the Duke killer back from his Carolina days. Maybe he's got something special for him. Jaden Bradley's been fantastic too, but I don't know. I see the interior being a big problem for Arizona. Their defense I'm not sure it's good enough.
Yeah.
My camera is having trouble.
Now, Josh, you're a Carolina fan, right?
Yeah, big Carolina guy. I obviously.
So how do you handle picking Duke games?
As long as I don't mind it if I'm winning money on them. I've won money. One bracket I won with when they won it, and I was surprisingly happy with it. But if I'm not winning something, I don't want to see them win for sure.
So you win either way. You either win money because they win, or you're happy when they lose.
Exactly. I really want them to lose. I never like seeing them win, but this team is really good. It's probably the best Duke team I can remember. And
all right, Biscay, what are your thoughts on this game?
Oh no, I can't stand Duke. I always hate Duke. I always hated Coach Krzyzewski. He thought he invented basketball. Saw Arizona last year, and man, I thought I was gonna die. I go to the Arizona section, and Bob Baffert comes out, and I'm like, he knows my name and stuff. I'm like, what's going on? Because on the podcast, I always rip Bob Baffert. But starting with Carolina, me and him had a good conversation. Took a selfie with him, met the family. He clued me in on some things. And when I saw Arizona really lacked toughness. I felt like I had to go on the court and just rough them up a little bit. It has to go with the coaching. The coach talking to the big-time Arizona boosters and talking to Bob Baffert. He needs to win this game. So I imagine he's not sleeping. He's coming up with a game plan, but I think he's still going to lose. I got plus 10. I bite it up to plus 10 because with all this pressure on him, I mean, the wife's, $7 million a year job riding on this game. And I was not, again, with Sears and Caleb Love, watching them on the court, comparing them to other people I've seen, compared to the people I saw the week after the Final Four, completely not impressed. If I feel that if I got in shape in my younger days, I can D you up, you're not an outlier. That's why I focus on the coaches. When I look at the players, I look for an outlier, but I haven't seen Michael Jordan, right, or James Worthy, or recent guys that I've seen that are like, whoa, this guy's an outlier. This guy's going to be good in the NBA. Caleb Love, no. Sears, no. As far as their athleticism, their toughness, and the overall toughness of Arizona, I question, other than that skinny white guy that comes in, who they put him in against Houston, but Houston ended up beating him by out-toughing them. And I think Duke is just a tiny bit more of a complete team. I think they bought a team because the ACC is going to go far before it disbands. You heard it here first. ACC is disbanding, but I digress. They bought a team for that situation. That's why they're deep, and they're going to have a little bit more toughness to beat Arizona, but not cover the plus 10.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I always kind of question Arizona's toughness too, but I did like the way they played Houston in that last game in the conference tournament. I thought they came out. They were playing tough. That was a close game. I really thought they were kind of taking it to Houston early. Visar was aggressive. Waka. I do like KJ Lewis and Bradley, and I think it just comes down to Caleb Love. If Caleb Love, and everybody keeps saying it, but it's true. Like if he's hitting his shots and he gets into, he stays hot, like they could definitely, stay in this game and maybe pull the upset. But yeah, I agree. I'm going to take the points. Hallman, are you going to take the points? Or are you taking Duke?
I think I'm taking Duke. I mean, I think Caleb Love will have to have a massive performance, and he's coming off one.
Yeah.
I don't know if he can put it together again back-to-back times like that. But they've got a shot. I kind of think Duke's going to win all their games by double digits until they get to the championship. Till they get to the championship game.
By the way, 51% of the bettors are on Duke, 49% on Arizona, and the 56 on Bama, 44% on BYU, and 66% on Florida minus the 6.5. Just 34% on Maryland. So that's kind of a big difference there. But none's bigger than this one. But let's that's the next game. But let's talk about the total real quick. 153.5. Any thoughts on this total here, guys?
You got two offensive coaches, so that in the 150s, it's probably an easy over. Because both coaches are making over $5 million in their offensive experts. With time to prepare, you're going to figure out a way to score. And they have to outscore each other. I think Duke's a little bit tougher than Arizona, and that's going to be their Achilles heel. But, yeah, they have to score. Watching Arizona, they're going to put a lot of screens for Caleb Love. But once you D him up and he has to shake you and go to the hoop, I don't think he's tough enough to do that. So
yeah, Duke, they could play good D, and they held freaking Arizona to 55 points in the first matchup. Again, bad shooting day for both teams, but Duke shut Illinois down to 67 points. They shut Carolina down to under 69 and 71 points. Louisville 62. So yeah, they could play really sound D. As Arizona's defense, 83 to Oregon, 80 to Texas Tech, 77 to Kansas, 100 to Arizona State, 96 to BYU. So, yeah, Duke should be able to put up, you figure what, maybe up to 90 points this game. What'd you say?
Where are they playing? Because that's one game.
Newark. Yeah.
Okay. Do they have the hoops set up? Because what happens is it used to be a rule of thumb. Then I had a guy who's deep in a Power 5 program. We would talk about it when we set up a network. Oh, are you at the game? How does the hoop look like? How's the background look like? And then last year, I monetized the game at the Crypto Center because the Lakers play there. And then the Final Four, when they played in a stadium where the backdrop is awful, got the under on the first two Final Four games. So that's something to look at. I'm going to do a little research because the Nets don't play there anymore, but it's a setup for basketball. So if the arena is set up for basketball where the guys can warm up or the day before, they have the practice the day before I used to like going to, they sit there for an hour and a half shooting, and you can see it. They can get used to the rims. But if it's a stadium setting like Arizona where the Cardinals play football, North Carolina State, like a lot of three-pointers. So did Purdue. I think they normally would have hit if it's a normal basketball arena, other than a football arena where the basket really looks weird.
Yeah, like I said, I could see Duke scoring up to 90. Arizona should be able to get at least, I would say, 60, 70 points. So I would lean over. I don't feel great about it. I don't even feel great about Arizona, but I would lean Arizona as well. All right. Next game. This game is going to be in San Francisco as well. And this is a lot of people, 71% here are on Arkansas. Against Texas Tech. And Texas Tech, again, J.D. Toppin was dominating the last game. Also, Darian Williams, he really looked good last game as well. It was him and Toppin kind of just eating last game. And then Arkansas, again, Calipari's got these guys going towards the end of the year. They got a couple players back. They're going to get Thero back, it looks like, as well. Calipari was saying, again, he's going to play 10, 15 minutes. They got Boogie Flam back already. He kind of, he made some big shots in that game in his first game back. So Arkansas is getting some of their guys back. They're deep too. They're athletic. I feel like, they could play. And a Big Z is funny because I have him in one of the players pool. He had 5 fouls in 10 minutes. I don't know if that's possible, but that's horrible. But I feel like they could play with Texas Tech. And I don't like the 71% when the public is kind of all over that. That kind of scares me away. So we'll see what it falls at. It's still early. That could change. More people could take Texas Tech, but obviously everybody's familiar with Calipari. Everybody knows, this is what he does in the NCAA tournament. He gets his teams going late. So that's kind of going to be the consensus opinion. I want to root for Arkansas here. I feel like I want to take them, but I feel like it could be like a little bit, too good to be true maybe. But what do you guys think?
I actually think Arkansas wins this game.
Awesome.
They have a massive size advantage, athleticism. They're putting it together finally. They've always had the talent. It hasn't been a question of talent. And they looked great. I mean, they're huge. They got Brazil and Adu inside. They're going to have massive size and length advantage at every position pretty much. Darren Williams played great last game. It's going to be a different game this time. Drake doesn't have anywhere near the size, length, athleticism. He was just kind of backing guys down and getting little shots from 5-6 feet. That's not going to happen against Arkansas. He's kind of banged up too. So, I mean, I like Arkansas to win. Like I'm definitely taking that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to go with it too. You made me feel a little bit better about it. I'll be rooting for Calipari for sure. What about you, Viscay? What do you say?
I'm going to be, I used to call it the Ruth Gator Ginsburg.
Ruth Gator Ginsburg.
It was another 8-1 decision, and again, the center was Ruth Gator. Liberal conservative decision. The center was, So I'll descend on this. I like Texas Tech because, there's this one guy. We have opposite betting strategies, but sometimes it makes sense. It's like, don't bet on teams that can't score. We were talking about it last week with Steve. Control freak coaches who have great athletes and they go against each other. I think that's what happened with Arkansas and St. John's. But other than that, Theo coming back, he needs it for a shooting. Arkansas they're great physically, but they're horrible basketball players, skill-wise. Texas Tech is better skill-wise, and they have they're good at offensive rebounding. So that's the decision maker I made. Analyzing both these teams. I like the offensive rebounding of Texas Tech and Arkansas. It shows you the skill level, the great athletes, but on Ken Palm, the offensive rebounding percentage is 28.1 versus Texas Tech here. Their offensive rebounding metric was 33.9, right? So awesome. My wife's a psychotherapist. I'm not. But when you're betting on these games, you have to put the mental health over. So betting on Texas Tech, there's a better offensive rebounding team. When they miss, I'm not cursing. I'm like, get the offensive rebound, right? Better for my mental health. They're going to get more second shots as I'm watching the game, as I'm enjoying the game. And I like Texas Tech minus the 5 points.
Yeah, 5.5. Looks like 5.5. You could always buy it down to 5. Total is 148.5. Any thoughts on that?
Under City, man. Because,
under?
Again, you got a control freak coach. You got working in a shooter for 10, 15 minutes. Texas Tech, all right, coming in there. And it's funny because I saw Texas Tech 2019, that Chris Beard team, Anaheim. The Sweet 16, the Chris Beard team, Texas Tech. And I sat next to Cliff Kingsbury, who was the head coach of Texas the football team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here they are again on the West Coast. I like their coach, and it's going to be a control freak game. And then in the second half, both teams are going to be focused on that $13 million. No, I'm kidding. The AD and the coach are going to focus on the 13. And what happens is, unfortunately, when there's money involved, this much money involved, people get conservative, right? You know, oh yeah, I went it with a wide open system in the second half. AD, that's why we lost the $13 million. No. You gotta say no. I had a conservative system. AD, you know, we just got screwed by the refs, which is going to be interesting because you do have an ACC team against a Texas Tech team who's in the Big 12, and the Big 12 is bleeding money, while the SEC has a big infusion of money. So the refs are going to get paid more doing SEC games than they are in Big 12 games. But I digress. That bleeds into you guys. I kind of like Texas Tech minus the 5 points because Arkansas can't score.
Any counterpoint to that, Holman, on that?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree that all year Arkansas has been pretty terrible. And, like, I just saw something different against St. John's. You know, it's like they finally put it together. Boogie Flan, I think it's kind of underestimated how important he is to this team. I mean, I think he's going to be a really good NBA player, and having him back is huge. If they get Thiero back too, I mean, they almost have too many players at this point. Like, playing time could be a hard thing for him to come up with. But I love their size and their length, and they were playing way harder, way smarter. They're playing together. It was a different team than we saw all year. And if they can bring that same team from that St. John's game to this game, I think they win. If they revert back to how they've played the entire season, then they'll probably lose. So
yeah.
And that's something to look at too, the travel. So they travel from Providence back to Little Rock, and now Little Rock to San Francisco. So that's the whole length of the country.
Yeah. Another team, basically almost like an East Coast team going to the West Coast. Best win for Texas Tech. They won at Houston. I mean, that's a great win. But then they lost to Arizona twice, who, you guys, Josh, you questioned their toughness. They did, So I like Texas Tech. I like Toppin a lot. I feel like, I think Hall makes a good point. They kind of were beating up those Drake guys a little bit. It's going to be much tougher against Arkansas. So I think Arkansas could definitely cover. Maybe Texas Tech wins the game. It should be close, but Arkansas. We were watching a bunch of their games down the stretch. They were making a ton of dumb mistakes at the end of the game. So that could pop its ugly head in this game, but we'll see. And I would say, I don't really have a good feel on the over/under in this game right now. But I'll go with Viscay and maybe lean under with him as well. All right, that does it for the Thursday games. Let's move to Friday now. And the first game on Friday in Atlanta, Georgia. Ole Miss versus Michigan State. Ole Miss looking pretty good. Chris Beard. He actually did beat Izzo in that Final Four, right? In 2019.
Yeah, and then he lost the final. But he did because what he does is he really does a great job of recruiting junior college guys and really training them for the role and then putting them together and making these runs late in the tournament. He's done it a few times with the Bobby Knight disciple. Maybe he's such a degenerate wife beater, just a horrible person. But that was the person that he is. He's a great basketball coach, and that's what matters. Especially when you're in the South, you're in Biloxi, all right? It's okay.
What's that? What was that? What was it? Rest in peace, Gene Hackman. By the way, that was some weird circumstances. What was that movie, Mississippi Burning? He was in that, right? Gene Hackman.
Yeah. Look at this age. He hires Lane Kiffin, right? Lane, and then he hires Chris Beard. But Chris Beard's a great coach. He's made me a lot of money betting, on Chris Beard. And I think he's getting points in this situation against Izzo. Izzo's basically a football coach He's got that system down. He got all these coaches been there 20 years. This is going to be basically a football game. So I'm doing an old football type of bet here. I'm playing 3 sides of the bet. Break even 52%. I get 2 out of the 3, right? 66%. I make money on this game. So I'm going Michigan State on the money line, minus 150.
You said minus 150 you got?
150, yeah. He puts 10 dimes on a game, right? He bets 10 grand a game. So he's always buying points. He always gets minus 150. But he bets more than me. I bet $1,000 a game. So I'm going to put $1,000 on Michigan State minus 150, Ole Miss plus 4. And this is going to be a football game in the 60s, 65 to 62, under 145.
All right. Yeah, spread is 3.5. That I see pretty much, and then the best money line I see is minus 165 on Bet 365. But yeah, you give him 150. That's good value. Total early, bet early. Yeah, smart.
I mean, everything. Yeah.
140.
I did the money lines.
Nice. 143.5. Best if you want the over on FanDuel, but if you want the under, DraftKings 144.5. Hallman, what are you going? Josh likes the Mississippi on the spread, but he's taking Michigan State on the money line.
Well, I've picked against Michigan State a lot recently, and they've made me pay for it a few times, but I'm going to do it again. I'm stubborn. I haven't loved this team that much. I don't think they're that talented. They have a lot of fight in them. They rebound really well, as always. All Tom Izzo's teams seem to be the best rebounding team in the country every year. But I feel like their most talented player is a freshman who didn't really show up last game. I don't think he even scored. Jace Richardson. He had a horrible game. But and Ole Miss is just tough, man. Chris Beard's an amazing defensive coach. He's got this team playing tough. They've been scoring too. They blew out Carolina and Iowa State. I think I'm going to pick them to win. I think they win this game.
Yeah, Michigan State, they kind of look like that. They don't really ever look like they're that impressive, but they play so hard. They always rebound the ball well. Atkins had a big game. He's a good player. Yeah, they're going to need Jace Richardson as well, but they're deep. Again, Izzo, he has so much tournament success. This is kind of a revenge game for him as well. I'm going to lean Michigan State. I'll probably buy it down to 3. I'll probably take Michigan State. But I could see Mississippi State definitely fighting in this game coming out of the SEC. They obviously have played a very, very tough schedule. They beat Tennessee just recently 78-76. They beat Alabama at Alabama 74-64, shut Alabama down to 64 points. They beat Kentucky 98-84. They really only struggle with, I guess it was Auburn. Auburn kind of took care of business against them.
They played them tough in the tournament, though.
That is true.
They lost, but they played them tough.
62-57, and they beat Iowa State a little bit banged up, but they kind of manhandled them. And they took care of Arkansas as well in the tournament. So, yeah, good points. They're playing hot at the right time. They are a hot team. They definitely could win this game, but I think Izzo and the guys will get it done. So I don't feel great about it, but I'll take, Michigan State minus 3. The total, 144.5. Yeah, I would say I agree with Viscay on this. I would say lean under.
Yeah, I kind of like the under too. A lot of defense.
All right.
And on the glass, Mississippi is offensive rebounding percentage is 25.3, and then Michigan State, to Mr. Hallman's point, they're 35.8. And we got Izzo, Hall of Fame coach, Hall of Fame staff. That's just a clear advantage for Michigan State. But again, their style. If they're up by 5 points, they're going to slow it down. Yeah, they're going to walk up.
Michigan State has a big-time rebound advantage, that's for sure. Assist-to-turnover ratio as well. But, yeah, I mean, you look at Mississippi. They shut down Bama, to 64 points. They're So, I mean, they could definitely slow down Michigan State. Michigan State doesn't really
You're
score.
definitely gonna get slapped in Mississippi if you don't play good defense.
Yeah. Yeah, and even Michigan State, like they only put up 71 against New Mexico, 74 against Wisconsin. They're not like an explosive, team, even 58 against Maryland. So yeah, I think the under is a pretty decent play here. But Mississippi is playing a little bit better on offense of late, putting up 91 against Iowa State. 78 on Tennessee is a good sign as well for them putting up some points. But then, it could just be streaky. Like they put up 57 against Auburn, 71 against Florida, 71 against UNC. But yeah, I would lean under. I think it'll be a dog fight as well. And then Hallman likes Mississippi State. So does Viscay, but then Viscay's taking Michigan State on the money line. All right, next game on Friday, 7:39 in Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium, where the Colts play. Anthony Richardson, will he get benched for Daniel Jones? That is a big question. By the way, Russ Wilson signs with the Giants today, so it's going to be him and Jameis Winston battling it out. That's going to be interesting. And also, Stephon Diggs goes to the Patriots, so that's interesting as well. Gets $69 million. Kentucky, Tennessee in Indianapolis. Kentucky has already beat them 2 times this year. And Kentucky has beat them 3 straight now, going back to last year. But obviously that was Calipari last year. But 75-64 back in February 11th and 78-73. So can Tennessee, who's favored in this game by 4.5, are they going to get punked by Kentucky again, Roman?
I'm going to go with Kentucky again. I mean, I think they've got the talent edge. I think they've got the size inside to really punish them. I think this game will hinge on Kobe Brea, though. He's been playing phenomenal, and I think he'll have to do it again. If they're going to beat Tennessee again, they're really missing Jackson Robinson. He was a huge loss for them, but Lamont Butler's back, and if Brea's going to be scoring 20, 25 points every game, Kentucky's dangerous. I mean, I think they have the ability to come out of this region if they're going to keep playing like this, but they haven't been as consistent as Tennessee. I feel like Tennessee, you know what you're going to get every game. They're going to bring that defense and their toughness, and Kentucky's got to match that. If they're able to match that toughness, I think they can win this game, but that's the question. Can they?
Yeah, Brea, man, he looks like the best shooter in the tournament. I mean, he's just got such a pure shot.
He seemed like he lacked confidence at times this season where he would kind of be passive. And now that he's kind of in this role where he's got to do something, like they need him as the main perimeter scorer. And he's jumped into that role. He's handling the ball. He's using screens well, and he doesn't need that much space to get that shot off. And he's one of the best shooters in the country. And I think they're very dangerous.
Yeah, definitely. Visca, what do you think?
Love it, man. I love it when guys that know what they're talking about are betting the same way I'm betting. I already bet 155 Kentucky. I think I might have misspoke earlier. It's basically the same guy. Kevin Young at BYU is the same as Mark Pope. Now, Mark Pope won a national title with Pitino at Kentucky. So he has that style. Both, BYU and them have the same style, kind of penetrate and dish. Barnes, I have to watch my emotions with Barnes. I did the podcast. I'm going to cut it out for sure. Definitely, Hallman needs to see this. When I did the podcast last year, the NCAA, I cut out when Barnes lost me $1 million on a 15-leg parlay. All you had to do was inbound the ball against Sean Miller. So I have a bias. He still has bad inbounds plays. I videoed it the other day. UCLA should have done better against Barnes. Even my dog is mad at Barnes. But yeah, I like Kentucky all the way in this situation. Now, Lucas Oil Stadium, looking at the total, I love the under. Because you're looking at a stadium with a bad backdrops. So it's not going to be a normal game. Barnes,
That helps Tennessee, right?
that helps Tennessee.
Could help them. They can miss shots too. Yeah.
Yeah, 145 and a half. So I'm going to pick the under. I'm going to cover my ass. I'm going to, bet 3 sides of it, win 2, and still make money. So I'm going to go Kentucky plus a 5, Kentucky on the money line plus 155. So I'll do 1,000 plus 5, 500 money line, and then another grand on the under 155. You're in a stadium situation, especially in the first half under, baby. You want to go for sure because it's going to be a stadium situation with a bad backdrop, and both teams try to shoot threes. Even though I like the little 5'6" guard Tennessee has, because I'm 5'6". Actually, I'm a tall 5'6", a short 5'7". You want to call it?
Yeah,
Ziegler.
Yeah, he's tough.
He's great. And Chaz Lanier's been playing really well. Another one of the best shooters in the country. It's going to be an interesting matchup between those guys. But Otega Owe for Kentucky. I mean, I just think they have a lot of NBA talent on that Kentucky team. Owe, Amari Williams, Kobe Brea, and even Andrew Carr.
Yeah, this game's tough for me because I feel like 3 times I feel like Tennessee is going to just go all out defensively and try to really limit. And we saw them shut Florida down to 44 points this year, so obviously they have it in them. But Lanier, yeah, man, he could get hot. He can carry them. Ziegler can make some shots. Jordan Gainey, we've seen him, get hot as well. The rest of the guys are kind of questionable. But, I don't know. Like, this spread is weird. Like, why the hell is Tennessee favored, right? 4.5. I don't know. I feel like I want to take Tennessee in this game, but I feel like I want to take Kentucky, but I feel like Tennessee might freaking get off the schneid here. But maybe Tennessee wins and Kentucky just covers. Maybe that's the way it goes. Maybe if you could buy it up to 6. I don't know. This one's tough for me. I think right now I'll lead Tennessee right now. But, yeah, I don't really trust Barnes either.
No, you can't because the thing about him is he's stubborn, almost like a Bobby Knight type guy. I'm looking it up now. Actually, I'm going to look at the bench minutes. He only likes playing 7 guys, right? And in this situation late in the season against a Kentucky, he plays more guys. Let me see if I can quantify that here. So Tennessee bench minutes. Nobody's going to argue with Barnes. He makes $5 million a year. But remember, Barnes is the only coach who, from an offensive standpoint, stopped Kevin Durant when he was his coach. He was the only guy who could stop Kevin Durant. It's Barnes. So bench minutes, he's at 25.1. Kentucky is at 39.4. So that's a huge advantage. Kentucky has the better coach, has equal talent, plus the fresher players. So this is a situation where you might want to go second half line, Kentucky. And remember, he's an NBA coach, so he knows how to manage minutes. Barnes is playing that old system. I don't need to change. Somebody doesn't. I know this billionaire guy from South Dakota. I learned more from him than from me, the client. And I don't know how we got on this, but he goes, Josh, especially when people have money, they don't change unless they have to. Barnes doesn't need to change. He's making $5 million a year, horrible inbounds plays, only plays 7 guys, right? He's in the Sweet 16 again. He's gotten $26 million in the tournament. Love Mark Pope in Kentucky in this situation. And Kentucky has to do well in basketball because football sucks. So when you go into the 64-team Super League, is Kentucky going to make the cut?
Yeah.
We don't know. You're going to must-win situation for Kentucky.
Yeah, and this game is kind of split. 51% is on Tennessee, so it's very, very even. I would lean under as well. I feel like, but I could see Tennessee making shots, Kentucky making shots, and this game could go over too. So I don't know. It's another tough one, but maybe the stadium really. We'll have to look at the history, check out the history of the stadium on that, and points scored. All right, next game Friday, 9:39. Michigan against Auburn. This game is also in Atlanta, Georgia. This really, I think, helps Auburn here with the home court. Almost like a home court for them.
SEC gets a home game in the Sweet 16.
Minus 8.5. And the total is, actually 9.5, 8.5. Yeah, 8.5, 9.5, depending where you look. And then the total is 153.5, 154. Michigan, Golden and Danny Wolf. Danny Wolf was on the Yale team that beat them last year. And then also Donaldson came from Auburn. So that's an interesting storyline. They take care of Texas A&M. They kind of struggle with UCal San Diego, who he said Michigan was his pick of the tournament, and they did cover that 2.5. They just covered it. Hallman picked them. And then I know Visca likes that, that conference. That was the one conference you've been betting on all season long. West. Yeah, the Big West.
Man-eaters in the NIT, Irvine. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Auburn, Creighton kind of played tough, but that's a good win against Creighton. Creighton's a really good team, 82-70. Auburn had been struggling, losing 3 of 4 into the tournament. They're kind of getting their heels back. Pettiford had a big game. He looked really good. So 9.5, big spread here. Holm, what do you think?
Man, I probably lay off this game. I mean, I don't trust Michigan. I thought they should kill UC San Diego. They were killing them. They led them all the way back in the game, made it really close. And then they're getting beat by Texas A&M all game long and then come back right at the end. It's hard for me to trust them. I mean, I think they've got that size inside that can cause problems for anybody. And I really love their freshman LJ Kaysen that comes off the bench. I feel like he's a big X factor for them. He gives them a lot more scoring in the backcourt. That's kind of their weakness, and I feel like he really helps them in that category. But I think Auburn's probably got too much talent. They probably win the game. The 8.5, 9 points. I don't know. I'd probably lay off it because I think it could go either way.
All right, Visca, what do you think?
But UC San Diego covered for me. I'm looking at the spreadsheet here. Plus 3.5. Actually, UC San Diego had a better team last year. I just like those European guys, right?
They were D2.
They're more relaxed. I like Dusty May, another Bobby Knight guy in this situation, and he has a style for tournaments. That's why he took FAU with the Russian oligarch son, Vlad. Always trying to fight. He's always trying to invade somebody. Vlad, the Russian. He was at FIU, now he's in Michigan. +9, love it. Love the point because, again, styles make fights. Bruce Pearl. I have a buddy of mine in Arizona, Victor, and we've been betting together on games. We get put together for the last 15 years. And he says, we know Bruce Pearl, Calipari, and Patino like members of our family. We know exactly what they're going to do. And they have that style where they want to wear the other team down. So they're down early, and then they come back late. You got Bourne. Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's not. But they want to go to him because he took less than IL money to be there. Pearl has a loyalty to him. So they're going to go to him inside, have him post up. Michigan, again, they lost a guy to the transfer portal. I thought it was crazy. But I played 20 minutes. He usually likes to play 10 guys. And then he figures out a combination to get on a spurt with a Bobby Knight motion offense. So I like Michigan plus the 9 points to be a closer game than what it probably should be. And I want to take a look. Let me see what Michigan is on the money line.
Have you heard anything about Chad Baker-Mazara, the health? He had like a problem with his hip towards the end of that last game. If he's hurt or not at full strength, that's a big loss for them. So,
it just says he's questionable. Also, Cardwell's a little bit banged up too.
That's a big question mark. Yeah,
I was going to ask you guys. Going against Golden and Wolf, they don't really have anybody that's big besides Cardwell. I mean, he gets in foul trouble.
Broom.
Broom, but still, you feel like Golden can kind of eat, take care of business. He's got a big height advantage, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like foul trouble could be a big issue in this game, one way or the other. I mean, who can stay out of foul trouble? Who gets in foul trouble? That could end up being the difference with the big guys. So.
I kind of like
plus 300. Michigan's plus 300 in this situation.
340. I got. I see.
340.
Yeah, 340 on BetMGM, 350 on FanDuel, 330 on DraftKings. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to upset, but I kind of like them covering. I like Dustin May. He's a good coach. I like the bigs. I think they have an advantage there. Their guards are going to have to hit some shots, like last game. But, yeah, I think I would lean the points as well.
And where is it in Atlanta? Where the Hawks play, or is it a stadium again?
Let me see. I think it's probably where the Falcons play. Let me see. State Farm Arena. So that's probably where the Hawks play. Yeah.
Okay. So again, you're gonna have a situation where I think that favors Michigan because Auburn hits that fast break three. They get a turnover instead of going to the hoop, which, especially for betting, I hate. Go to the hoop, man. Instead of going to the hoop, they take a three, right? Because they feel comfortable shooting threes. But when you do that in a stadium situation, like North Carolina State did at the Cardinals stadium, that always is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like the under 153. Give me under 154. Give me Michigan plus 9. So $1,000 on Michigan plus 9. Another grand on under 154. And I'm going to put $300 on the Michigan money line. 340.
All right, nice. We got a lot of unders here. Josh, what do you think about the over under 153?
Yeah, I would lean under as well. I mean, I think both teams can struggle to score at times. And, with the injuries, question marks. Yeah, I mean, I think the big guys inside can give each other problems, make it tough to score. So, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, Cardwell's going to have to play big. Cardwell's going to have to play big. He's going to have to stay out of foul trouble. And your boy Pettiford, who, had 23 points last game, he played big. If he has a big game, they could definitely take care of business. Also, Baker Mazara, he's a little bit questionable injury. We'll see what the news is on that. That's something to look out for. Broom kind of, he's kind of falling apart down the stretch here. 0 for 4 from 3, just 8 points. And then the first game, I don't think he did much either. I think he only had 14, but against Alabama State. But still, he's 0 for 7 from 3. So maybe he just needs to stop shooting threes.
Yeah, he got a little banged up maybe a month ago, and he just hasn't really ever got back to that same level he was playing at earlier this year. So
yeah, maybe Michigan here with the injuries on the Auburn side and the size advantage they're going to have inside as well. Maybe they're the play here with the points.
Golden's been pretty dominant. He's been a force in there so far, and it's going to be tough for them to deal with him.
He has an invader mentality.
Yeah, I mean, if Auburn can really, play really good D and get into the guards and kind of, disrupt. We saw Michigan. I mean, again, that Wisconsin game, those teams were probably worn out a little bit. Right. They only scored 59, but they only scored 62 against Michigan State, 65 against Maryland, 73 against Illinois of all teams, and they lost by 20 on that 3-game losing streak. But then they picked it up of late. They won 5 straight, and they've been better offensively. But even against UC San Diego, they only scored 68. So yeah, I think the under is probably the play. You expect Auburn to come out with a really, really good defensive effort. That's kind of been their when they're on top of their game, they're playing really good defense. All right, so we like the under, and I think for the most part we like Michigan, but we could see Auburn, if they're hitting their shots, covering. Holman doesn't really have a good feel. He's going to stay away from it, he says. All right, Purdue, last game of the night on Friday, 10:09, and it's going to be Purdue versus Houston. And interested to hear what you guys think, but I'm all over Houston. I feel like they're going to dominate this game. They're going to slow down Braden Smith. Again, Houston doesn't blow a lot of teams out. They're very
Right.
comfortable with winning 6-7 point games, but I think they win this game by 10 at least. I think this might be one of my favorite plays of the weekend. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I love Houston too. I'm shocked Purdue is here, to be honest. I thought they'd probably win their first round game, but I thought they'd be getting knocked out in the second round. Thought it would be Clemson originally, but I thought McNeese would give them a lot of problems, and I think Matt Painter really showed his quality as a coach, and I underestimated him coming into that game because his game plan just picked them apart and exposed what was their strength, turned it into a weakness, and they just annihilated McNeese, and I felt kind of bad for McNeese. They looked helpless. And that was impressive, but Houston's a different animal. I think they're just going to lock them up, make it impossible for Purdue to score, and I think they win pretty comfortably.
All right, Visca, what do you think?
I'm going to be Ruth Ginsburg again. The contrarian. I'm going to go.
You're going to have to next week. You're going to have to wear the court outfit. There you go.
I'll do that. Right. But judges, right? These are great legal scholars or fools with robes on. That was a great line from Jerry Spence. But Matt Painter, man, I saw him in the Final Four. They're by far between the Sweet 16, watching Clemson, watching Alabama, and then to the Final Four, watching Purdue. They were the worst athletes out of the whole bunch. I felt like I could, he had great stats or whatever, but I felt comfortable going on the court, 30 pounds overweight and guarding Zach Edey. Right?
5'6" for 7.
But he does a great job. He recruits these guys from 8th grade on, junior year. He offers them, and they all have specific skills that he trains them on since a junior in high school to now being 4 fifth-year seniors, or with a COVID year, 8-year seniors over there at Purdue. He brings in the right transfers, who's recruited, whatever. He's got the whole system down. You're giving him a week to not sleep, to prepare against Kevin Sampson, who, if he's up by 4 points, he feels it's 20 because we're going to lock you down and we're going to stop you. But you're giving me 9 points against a Final Four coach. Give me Purdue. Lucas Oil Stadium with a horrible backdrop.
Yeah, it's like a home game for Purdue, pretty much.
Home game for Purdue. The weird thing about Purdue, why I haven't seen it, right? One of the things I love about going to college football, college basketball games is the cheering from each team, the interesting cheer. Purdue had the worst one ever. All they do is go, Boyle. I'm like, whoa. The Boilermakers, I guess. But Boyle. I was like, man, that is boring. But you go nuts over it. Those people are going to be there. And those people, man, those are some rabid, very knowledgeable Purdue fans. When you sit with the Purdue people, they're all extremely nice and well-mannered, but extremely knowledgeable, easy to talk to Purdue people. They're going to be out there en masse, right? So it's going to be a home game for Purdue. Lorenzo Fertitta, keep him away from the refs before the game. Lorenzo Fertitta, he has $23 billion. He now is part owner of the UFC. He's got bidded up for $150 billion. As a USF guy that used to go against Houston, I would say it was interesting to watch Fertitta talk to the refs before the game. How can this be allowed? How can you allow somebody with $23 billion who donates $5 billion to the University of Houston talk to the refs before the game? I digress. Houston in the Big 12 against the Big 10 in Big 10 country. Boy, Houston, I doubt they're going to get any calls. So give you the Purdue Boilermakers. Plus the 9 is what I got. So I bought the point plus 9, and I'm going to go under 135.
Okay, you make a lot of really good points. The one thing you could also say is EK had a big game against Juwan Roberts. He was kind of backing him down. Had 27, one of his best games of the season. Then Kaufman Penn, he's a big guy, so he could do some work. But I don't know. I just don't think Purdue has enough. Like Braden Smith, yeah, he's a general, but I feel like they can kind of disrupt him defensively. And then you got Cryer, who had a huge game last week, and then Uzan, who could bang threes, and even Sharp can bang threes. And, Tugler had a nice game. So, yeah, they're going to be in Purdue country. That is a great point. It's definitely going to be a rough environment for them. But, Houston has one.
I think the refs are going to do a great job stopping Houston.
Yeah, Houston's been Houston. Yeah, that definitely is possible.
It's going to be demonstrative calls because he knows it's a fake call, so it's going to be demonstrative.
They played in some tough environments. So they won at Texas Tech. They won at Arizona. They won at Kansas. Kansas blew 2 6-point leads in that game, but they still, they did win that game. This is and then they destroyed BYU a couple of times too. They completely locked down a 3-point shooting team. And McNeese, they don't cover the 3 well. Purdue is just killing them from 3. That's not going to happen against against Houston. So, yeah, maybe it's a little too many points, for where they're playing, but I still got to take Houston. But maybe Ruth Gator Ginsburg gets it done, huh?
We're going to take you up. 2 shots in the ball, Purdue.
Yeah, I hope not. I hope the freaking refs don't ruin that game. All right, last thing on this game. The total is – hold on. Let me pull up the total real quick. It is
I bet one under
132.5. That is the lowest total of the Sweet 16.
Yeah,
it's very low.
133.
Yeah, I expect it to be very low scoring. I'm probably not betting that over-under, but I wouldn't want to bet high. Wouldn't want to bet over. So.
Yeah, I did a great podcast with a gentleman by his book, Graham Honecker. He's in the gift department at Butler, basketball junkie. He's been my correspondent there in those Indiana arenas. He says Lucas Oil Stadium is horrible, and right now I'm at least 9 out of 10 betting the unders.
Yeah, most people are going to see that low number and probably, well, maybe I'll take the over. But again, it is Houston versus Purdue, and nobody's going to really want to bet that. But yeah, maybe we had another under. But this could be
65-60 under.
We have a lot of unders here. What did you say? The Purdue what?
Yeah, 65-60.
Oh, Purdue
covers. Houston wins.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I bet one technical. If you can bet that Samson's going to get one technical, and there's going to be more fouls on Houston than Purdue in this game. If you bet that.
Houston 8th in rebounding. Purdue 314. That does not bode well. Houston also the best defensive team, least the points allowed in college basketball, 58.4. 4th in field goal percentage, 1st in field goals made, 6th in field goals allowed. Houston is just relentless. I definitely think they're going to win no matter what. Purdue, I think that's a lot. I think, if you want to put up the money, minus 400, I think it's probably the best money line, or one of the best money lines you could take. I see there's no chance I see Houston losing this game. Like, even with the home court of Purdue, Houston will just grind this out somehow, some way, and get the W. But I'm going to take Houston. We all kind of like the under, I guess. Josh has Purdue. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. Any last thoughts here? Let's actually, you know what? Let's go over. Let's give our Elite 8 picks, and we'll get into the Final Four, I guess. And then we'll see who we like getting to the Final Four after Saturday and Sunday. Hold on, let me just bring up this bracket.
We'll note this. Thank you, Steve, because you helped me for the second year in a row here. So 27-16, 62.5%.
Nice. Nice,
helped me make $9,100. So thank you, Steve.
No,
So every time Steve talks, you get
well,
paid to listen to what Steve says.
yeah. Well, thank Josh too, because he's been ahead of the game, pretty much all year, and kind of helping me out too. So we all help each other. All
Exactly,
right,
man.
let's
We
go.
can.
We're gonna have let's say we're gonna have Auburn, Michigan State, in the Elite Eight. Who do we like in that matchup?
I got Auburn over Ole Miss.
Okay, so we have Auburn in the Final Four. We have Auburn in the Final Four. Josh, you like that, or do you like Michigan State?
I like Izzo. Izzo had a thing where every 4 years he made the Final Four. He hasn't made the Final Four in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah.
Magic Johnson has all this money now, with all this commercial real estate, the appreciation of assets. Washington, another guy should keep away from the rest before a game. But I like Magic Johnson's money and Izzo to get Izzo to the Final Four, break that drought that he's had. He has
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah,
if they could get past Ole Miss, I'm with you. I think Michigan State can beat Auburn, definitely.
Yeah, I think the door is open in that part of the bracket. I think you can make an argument for any one of those teams right now with Auburn banged up. I mean, I think Auburn, to me, would have been a big favorite. But with the Baker Mazzara injury, he said Cardwell's a little banged up. Like, they're vulnerable. So I think it's a big opportunity for all four of these teams. Somebody can break through.
I love Bruce Pearl, man of the people, man. I met him last year at the Final Four. Really nice guy. But he always gets out coached at least once in the tournament. Even when he went to the Final Four. Remember the New Mexico State game? They killed me, the New Mexico State game. I had New Mexico State on the money line plus 1,200. The New Mexico State coach, now the coach of Mississippi State. And I can't even say it. I'm crying. Because New Mexico State, the game was tied. Dude gets fouled. He gets 3 shots. Go YouTube this. He gets 3 shots, and he misses all 3 shots. I was dancing out. That's the way he can miss 3, man. How am I going to make $5,000? Oh, yeah, he misses all 3. And, of course, we get blown out in overtime. And I digress.
I think I remember that game, actually.
Brutal.
By the way, Baker Mazzara, yeah, Bruce Pearl is basically saying it's like a bruise, and he's saying hopefully that's all it is. So that wouldn't be a huge concern.
His movement was concerning at the end of that game. The way his hip was, he was moving very weird.
So he's going to be shot up, and what you saw was the drugs wearing up. Right?
Yeah, maybe.
He left, he came back, and then he was kind of, he had an ice pack on his right hip, supposedly. Cardwell.
We left in injection time.
Cardwell, I don't really see anything. So, yeah, that's something we got to pay attention to. All right. Bottom half of the bracket in the West. Florida, we all like Florida to win against either Arkansas or Texas Tech. Do you guys see Florida losing to either team?
No, I got Florida over Arkansas in my Elite Eight here. I think Florida's too strong. They've been tested now. I kind of think they kind of cruise into the Final Four from here after that skating by UConn just barely.
All right. Mr. Golden has to win to keep his job. He's going to be all over it.
Yeah, be interesting to see if there's like some stories leading up to it. Coming into the game Thursday, but it hasn't been much, so maybe he's in the clear. All right, Duke. We all kind of like Duke, I guess, for the most part, against BYU or Bama. Any chance BYU or Bama takes down Duke?
No. I mean, I think that BYU Alabama game is the most exciting game to me in the Sweet 16. I don't know who I think is going to win that game. I think it's going to be very close, but I think Duke beats either one of them fairly comfortably.
What do you think, Josh?
I agree.
Any chance?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Just got 2 players.
Too good.
Yeah, they got the defense. I honestly, though, I could see one of those teams knocking them off if they're hitting their shots. I think Bama would have a better chance
Definitely.
than BYU. All right, Houston. We would like them all to advance. We all like the Houston to advance against either Kentucky or Tennessee. Visca, what do you think?
I think it's going to be Kentucky for real. In that scenario, it's like these guys, Sampson and some other folks here are trying to turn basketball into football. Football's a game of attrition. This is how this would be. So that Elite Eight game would be that. It's going to be a battle to the end. And Houston just has more players. Houston can go 10 deep if they want. They definitely play at least 8. And it's a physical style for them to eke out another victory. I think they won't cover the spread and be under, but they will advance to the Final Four. And again, Fertitta, is buying a team for a reason. He's paying Sampson and his son millions of dollars for a reason. Do you think? I just asked the audience and asked you guys. Do you think Lorenzo Fertitta, worth $23 billion, gets to a basketball game early and starts talking to the referees? Is it for a reason or not? Or he just wants to know how they're doing, right? I guess. I don't know. I digress. But Houston's winning that game, going to the Final Four. He's on the board.
He's a director of the Red Rock Resorts Incorporated and former CEO of the UFC. Interesting. All right. So you like Houston to get to the Final Four?
Yeah,
or Kentucky.
And he owns part of XBet, which is the software William Hill uses when you place a bet. They're about 50% of your outlets out there. So any way you cut it, Lorenzo Fertitta is getting paid.
All right. Josh, what do you think, Coleman?
Man, coming into this tournament, I thought, Houston versus Tennessee was nearly a lock to be the Elite Eight matchup. But after watching Kentucky recently, I really like this team. I thought the Jackson Robinson injury and then the Lamont Butler injury was kind of derail their season. But Lamont Butler has come back. Kobe Brea has stepped up. And I think they're the most talented team out of these three here. Whether they can match the toughness or not, I'm not sure. Obviously, they've beaten Tennessee twice. I think they do get by that game to play Houston. I think they're the more talented team than Houston, but Houston is just so physical. And I think it's going to be all about if the Kentucky can handle the physicality. And mainly Kobe Brea. I think he is the guy who – he could potentially get taken out of the game by the physicality, and that's happened to him plenty of times before. But if he continues playing like he's playing, I kind of think Kentucky can do it.
Yeah, I could see Kentucky. I could see Kentucky beating Houston too, but I have to go with Kentucky. Houston's intensity and their defense, and they can make shots too. It's not like they can't make shots; like they could shoot. And you saw Cryer. 32 last game. He could go like one of those guys. Usually is on. It's either Uzan, Cryer, or Sharp. Like one of them is just on fire, or sometimes two of them. And then, they got Roberts back. So yeah, I think Houston would get it done. But yeah, I would say Kentucky would have a better chance. I just don't see Tennessee beating them. I just don't see that.
Yeah, I don't see Tennessee being there. Then Kentucky, their offensive rebound percentage is 28.2 versus Houston, which is going to be high up there. Houston is. Rebound percentage is 36.6. So there's quite a bit of a gap. And then you're in a stadium situation where you're going to miss a lot of three-point shots. So offensive rebounding will be important. So Houston has a clear advantage as well.
And the Final Four will be in San Antonio. All right. So I think Josh, your pick was Florida before the tournament. Have you switched it to Duke now?
Oh man, kind of. I think Duke has the advantage now. I really do. I didn't want it to be the case. I wanted Florida to be the favorite. I really wanted to believe that they were going to win. And I mean, obviously they still have a chance, but gun to the head, I'm picking Duke right now.
Yeah, it was kind of a split for me between Houston and Florida. I think I'd lean Houston still, but yeah, Duke is certainly, Proctor's hitting those shots and Flag and all that defense and their size and their depth. Yeah, they could definitely get it done. How about you, Visca?
Yeah, unfortunately, because I hate Duke. The time when Eddie the Fixer Perry tacked his name in there. I think I told you the story. Steve didn't believe me. I had to give him the link to the article. A guy by the name of Eddie the Fixer Perry. He's the one that paid the admin and Larry Johnson, all those guys, to lose against Duke. And I've hated Duke ever since. So I hate to pick Duke in this situation. But they know the numbers. And they had the money, right? So they got the rich Duke alumni and said, these guys score at a certain level, your Flags, 1 through 10. They all score a certain percent, and they know the numbers they need to win a national championship. And they did it. And they got the numbers they need to win a national title. Right?
The hot tub.
There he is. Richard the Fixer, second from left, with UNLV players Moses Scurry, Anderson Hunt, and David Butler. In a photograph that was published in the Las Vegas Review-Journal, May 26, 1991. Perry was twice convicted in sports betting.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird how UNLV beat Duke by 30 that previous year, and then basically the same teams show up and Duke pulls it off. I hated that moment as well. Can't stand Duke. But I mean, they've got the best player. Their defense is playing phenomenal.
Right.
I get now that I've seen Florida struggle against UConn, they look beatable, and I just give Duke an edge.
Yeah, they know the numbers like Ohio State did in football, and they bought a team, and they're steamrolling their way to a title.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, that was great. We'll everybody enjoy the games. Thanks to the Joshes for coming on today, dropping their knowledge. A lot of good input here. So, hour and 37 minutes. Again, you can follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing to the show. Hit that notification button. Tons of Dynasty content. The NFL draft is next month. So we'll get into best ball season pretty soon and then redraft. So make sure you guys are liking. You can follow Josh on X at Hoop Visions, Hallman. And then the other Josh, just your Twitter handle is Jose, Josue Vizcay, Vizcay. You follow him on Twitter as well. So thanks, guys, for coming on. And everybody enjoy the games once again. We'll see you soon.
All right.
Yo, vintage got the boom.